Okay, the things that you notice after you hit the save, we're going to need the 1.5 inch fillets there. So 1.5, got an extra decimal there, 1.5. Go ahead and accept. And then on this side, boss extrude 3, that actually came up to be 0.75. Oh, and I shouldn't have picked that one. I didn't pick that one. So let's rebuild. And this is going to look a little weird. All right, so on that one, I would be prone to trying to make it 0.375, so you ended up with a nice arc instead of that weird point, or that vertex kind of coming up. But um, okay, we'll go with it. All right, since this is the first part, if I check my window real quick, this is the first part to go into the assembly. And so file new, and we'll pick up our assembly. It is in metric, which is not that big of a deal. And we'll select the holder base. I'm okay. There's no rotation that I need to do, so I don't have to worry about that, or the right click and rotation. Again, this pop-up box, show rotate context toolbar, if you're not seeing that, that would be the first place to check. I still have one computer system that for whatever reason, it's just going to rotate on the right mouse button. And most of the time, if we've done our design intent when we bring the part in, it's going to be pretty much in the position that we want. All right, so just the quick note, I've said it previous projects, I don't think I've said it in this one. If you need to make adjustments, see something better, this is the time to experiment and do what ifs and make those choices. As the mechanical designer, um, if this is handed to me and say, hey, we need to design review, reverse engineer, they're no longer available, whatever the situation is, I'm going to look at doing this with the best manufacturing ideas and processes that I currently have. So if this was a casting 50 years ago, great, but I still look at this and I kind of shake my head and go, no, uh, I wouldn't be doing it this way. All right, so insert components, browse, and we're going to go find the holder side and bring it in. All right, so this is a good place to look at our geometry. And I could edit it here, but keep in mind I can just open the part. If I edit the part, it will edit it in context. There's too much going on here, so let's just open that part. And the 9/16 comes out to be, take that one out, and that one just stays on the center. If I wanted to verify those numbers, I could make those driven. All right, so just having those there as a what if. All right, and then all of these dimensions, we'll just go back to the point and select control select vertical, select control select horizontal. And now that we've kind of determined that that is the correct, then I can close that, let it rebuild. All right, and then this is going, excuse me, going to go to the mate. Coincident, I missed the pop-up. And now that we're in the mates, I can just go ahead and select my geometry. I don't have to hold down the control button or anything. And notice that we're a little bit shifted. That one looks good. So we'll go ahead and accept. That still says this can rotate. So it looks like I missed a dimension somewhere. So either I reversed one or change one. So since that did not play well. Let's go back and double check. 0.5, 0.38. Well, let's use our measure tool and find out. Select and control select. And those are off by 1/4 of an inch. And if we go to measure those, 6.35 millimeters, 1/4 of an inch, and 6.32. So let's go ahead and change that over to inch, pounds, and seconds, and double check where I missed my dimensions. Okay, so since I got, when I changed this one, I wasn't looking at the print. That seems to be the 1/4 inch because I just automatically made that vertical. So this is a situation where since the geometry is there, I'll probably just go ahead and edit the part. Save the assembly. So this is my 4-link. All right, and the 4 links come back to the number of pivot points. So everything saves. And the 9:30 seconds through, I'm going to edit that sketch. So when you are editing in context, the other parts go into transparency, and the part that you're editing is in blue. And I will still recommend that you be a little careful with using that until you are familiar with the process, and little by little build in. And then once we edit out of the part and rebuild, then it looks like I did the same thing. So this one, 0.5. So I missed all of those. So that one's offset, that one's offset. There it is. It magically appeared. All right, so since I made those vertical, let's go ahead and hide. And hopefully the multiple iterations as we go through that process, those types of things that do show up or get missed or aren't apparent will be revealed and corrected as we go. So that was the other 0.25. And then on this side, we can edit that 0.25. Yep, sure enough, I did it on all of them. Okay, so edit. The part gets closed. And we go back and right-click and show. And if I now have everything correct, all right, we're in pretty good shape there. All right, so let's bring in, no, it is able to rotate. I look over and I see a minus sign and it's able to rotate. Pick the 2 holes, so we'll go concentric. You know, it is kind of overkill that one goes to a 1/2-13, so I don't know what kind of loads they're expecting at that point. Yeah, it's a little bizarre. All right, so let's see, that's in the same position. This face and that face are going to be coincident. And then I'm going to flip the mate alignment so it comes back around the other way. And we want to double check those hole locations for this side. And concentric. And no, we're not locking the rotation, and no, I'm not flipping the mate alignments. So that's all okay. And control select and concentric. And if you don't recognize those symbols, then they will it is something that you can hover over and have it pop up, do the tooltip, and let you know what it is. Okay, so we need to pull now that I've made my the corrections that I just caught. Let's see, let's just go ahead and, well, I thought there was an exploded view somewhere. Maybe that was my exploded view from last time. So item, and then the disk, and they're showing the holder. Screw. Now that one definitely, that looks like maybe the spacer is to the interior, or the spacers are on the inside. Okay, well we need to make a decision, so let's go ahead and bring in the short post, and we'll get it into position. Insert component. We're going to browse post holder short and put that in place. And I'm just going to go ahead and assemble one at this point. So concentric. Locking the rotation. Let's see, it kind of looks like that is the disk. So the disk on the outside, let's bring that back. For the initial, I'm going to say that that is going to be coincident. Since I didn't see the pop-up, I'll just go back and make the concentric, lock the rotation on the concentric. So, all right, so that is, looks like item, well, 4, 8. It's either 6 or 8. All right, so 8 is link 3. So let's bring in the link, existing browse link 3. And we'll go concentric. And no, I do not want to lock the rotation. Oh yeah, I didn't bring in a bearing. So let's go with the short. And most of the time, I would bring in one of them first, concentric. And no, we don't need to lock coincident. And then concentric. Yeah, I want to say, looking at this, even with the stack up, I might have missed those spacers last time. Still a pretty good gap there. A lot of float. All right, so let's see if with the spacer, maybe that one was the long spacer, and we still have contact. All right, so I'm not too worried about the drawing here, but I don't want to get too long on the video because this is where I got myself into trouble. So I'll make sure to rebuild and save. So on the off chance, I'm going to, let's see, I think that's just off screen somewhere. There is a replace meets and entities, replace components. All right, so we're going to browse, and I'm going to replace that with the spacer long. And new. I'm not sure why it even picked the holder base, so only selected. All right, hopefully that doesn't do anything too weird, but that just kicks it Yeah, that just kicked it all the way off. All right, so, but that clears, which kind of, let's see if I can Control Z. All right, and then the other thing that we could do here for our coincident is let's just clear out those selections and we'll go to that face and to that face and accept it. And I am still in collision. All right. So at this point, I still need to bring in the bearing. And so I'm going to jump ahead. You should be comfortable enough to stop at this point and replace or delete and reinsert. Okay, I made my replacement and kind of analyzed the result and have a little bit of interference. So the 2.38 still doesn't quite line up, and I still need to put the bearing in, but we have the clearance there. And I checked the 1.25 and the 2.38 and the 1/8 inch. That doesn't quite line up. If we had the 2.38 from there to there, then I think that will give us a desired result. So I wouldn't want to inset this 1/8 of an inch and then stack up. We're going to put this in bind. So at this point, the 0.78 clearance with the 0.75, we have a lot of clearance there. So this is going to have a tendency, if it binds here, it's going to have a tendency to spin here, which then the bearing isn't doing what it's supposed to do. So like I said, my first correction or my thought here is to make this 2.5 and save it and then close it and see if that makes an initial fix. Well, either that or visually it looked like it was inside. What did we have? No, I guess it was right there. So that's still at bind. So let me change it back. And rebuild. So that might have been my rounding error if I stayed at the 2.38. Yeah, now it's not looking like it's internal. So that stack up though, that is a little bit of a concern. All right, so let's go ahead and bring the disk in. And instead of just thinking through the process and trying to do the general accounting. All right, so that becomes coincident. And wherever it threw it, oh, that wasn't too bad. Let's go with the whole locations, concentric, and we'll lock the rotation. And it didn't disappear, so I need to double check. Yeah, thought I clicked on that. All right, so 3, and then we need to jump back a little bit, and I'm going to go to the other side, and let's go. So that looks like 8, maybe 7. See what our numbers are. So that one looks like the shortest one. So 1, 3. So we'll see if they all clear. And nothing there. And the relief. Nope, there it is. All right, so that one's still an issue. All right, so if this was the configuration, I would just change the configuration, which we'll take a look at. As it is, I'm going to have to replace it. So let's do that one more time. If you got these replaced okay, this shouldn't be an issue, but just to review it, just off screen is my replace. And I'm getting a pop-up. So kind of towards the bottom of that guy. So let's see, if this is the long one, we would need to be maybe item 2. So 2 was the 12-inch. All right, so that one still has some length. We'll let it do the replace. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and stop the video here, and we'll come back with the toolbox items and then run through the rest of the geometry.